Hello and welcome to my channel. Vice Rhino here. Joining me this evening for Twit Tweets, we've got Cirrus the Skeptic. Cirrus, welcome on.
Hi, how are you doing? I am here for reasons.
Eventually I'll figure out how to make these sound effects not jarring.
I hear them. That is very disconcerting.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I forget. I asked you before we went live, but did you watch the stream with Shannon?
I did not see the stream with Shannon, no.
Oh, so you missed the sad trombone.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, I played with the buttons a bit because I don't know. I figure I have guests, may as well applaud them in. So welcome. I don't know. So you just got out of the theater from seeing Sonic.
Yeah, they had an early premiere for it today, and I'm going to be talking about it on live stream on Sunset City on Friday. So I figured I'd need to go ahead and see it, not on release day when we would be doing the show at noon, well before the theater would be showing it. So that's going to be yeah.
Yeah. I'm not really into the Sonic movie. I haven't seen the first one, but someone who happens to be in the chat right now organized a bunch of gift cards to come my way recently. So I have a bunch of movie theater gift cards that I need to figure out things to use them on.
So I know you said before the stream that you usually avoid Jim Carrey.
Yes.
If Jim Carrey is any percentage of your trepidation with this movie, this movie is very Jim Carrey unhinged. Like he expected this to be his last film before retirement. He's gone on record to say that, and it shows. There are some times where I'm just like, okay, you are gobbling the camera as if it were candy. That is what you're doing right now.
He's just having fun with his last role, sort of thing.
And he's doing this for his kids. Like he's also gone on record to say the only reason he took the role as Eggman was because he wanted to have that for his kids because his kids are Sonic fans. So
all
like
right.
The good news is that you get a really good performance out of him. It's just a very hammy performance, and if you don't like Jim Carrey, this is Jim Carrey's Riddler from the George Clooney Batman movie. This is the Riddler.
Was George Clooney that Batman? I thought that was just before George Clooney, wasn't it?
I think that might be just before George Clooney's with George Clooney's the second one. Yeah, George Clooney's with Schwarzenegger. This is the other, but this is the Batman I always forget. It's Keaton, and then the one I forget, and then Clooney. I just can't remember.
I can't remember. Okay, I'm not looking them up right now because that doesn't matter.
It's not super important. But yeah, no, it's if you didn't like Riddler, then you won't like this Robotnik because they're the same thing.
All right. That makes perfect sense to me. I will continue to avoid it while looking for other movies that the kids might want to go see. So just some housekeeping. So as some of you know, I have started a second channel that I'm Kilmer. Shannon's in there.
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer.
Or Val Kilmer. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, so as some of you might already know, and many of you maybe don't know, I've started a second channel called The Watering Hole, which is where I'm going to be shifting all of my live stuff. Right now, I'm just going to be like chopping up my live stream and uploading the chunks there in a more digestible fashion. Eventually, when that channel is like monetized and everything, I will move the actual streams over there just so I can, keep different channels for different focuses. And my streams aren't typically very focused, so that'll be the unfocused channel.
Gotcha. I'm still trying to figure out what to do with my unfocused channel. It's just kind of there.
It exists.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so we're going to start with some news items. First up, we've got the Texas student who protested the Pledge of Allegiance got $90,000 in a settlement. We're going to start with the good news.
I just realized I can't actually read this because it's asking me to create a free account. Screw you.
Open it in an incognito window. That sometimes works because you get a certain number of free articles.
I will create the ultimate free article loop around. We'll do that. Well, let me do this. Aha, there we go. I'm allowed to. Nope.
No?
Nah, it's fine.
I'm
It's
so
fine.
sorry.
It's I actually have a way around this though. Usually, whenever you have stuff like this, typically there's about 15 news outlets that will copy paste from the original.
Yes.
Not that they should, but they
it's
definitely
helpful.
do.
Yeah, well, speaking about that, I actually have a subscription to New York Times. But the way I have this set up is like I'm a tab hoarder.
Oh, you too?
So I have all the tabs open. And rather than try and filter out which tabs are okay to display publicly and which should remain private, I have a different profile for Chrome that is the one that gets the window capture. So I don't open anything on this that I don't want going out on the stream. But I actually have a subscription to the New York Times because they do some pretty good in-depth reporting that I've made great use of in the past.
Might as well throw money at them at that point.
Well, I mean, they're not the greatest organization to be supporting financially, but they are useful to me, and it's cheap. So like it's like $2 a month or something. So I'm not overly concerned about that. But this because it keeps on automatically signing me in with the Google account that I am signed into Chrome with, which is not my New York Times account. And I don't know how I'm able to see it right now. It was giving me so many issues before we went live. But it just started working eventually, but I am in the wrong account and I should it's telling me to subscribe up at the top. Yeah, actually that's on the stream. You can see subscribe for $1 a week. So I guess that would be $4 a month. Maybe I got it on a deal because it's only like $2.70 or something. Whatever.
It's all lies.
Remember when I said this was the unfocused channel?
Yeah.
We're here to talk about the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. So this student was in the senior year at what was the school? Some school in Texas. And let's see. So September 2017, 2 months into Miss Oliver's senior year at Klein Oak High School.
Yeah.
Benji Arnold, a sociology teacher, played Bruce Springsteen's "Born in the USA" and asked the class to write about the feelings that the song summoned up in them. He then instructed the students, including Ms. Oliver, to transcribe the words of the Pledge of Allegiance according to the federal lawsuit. Blah blah blah. Three other teachers, a school administrator, and the school district, she alleged were harassing her because she chose not to recite the pledge. She did not write down any words in as part of this assignment. She drew a squiggly line, which I feel like if that were me in that scenario, I would have been the asshole student who's like, yeah, I'll write down the words and this is how I feel about them, and then write all the negative feelings.
I mean, so here's the thing though, when the teacher asked, write down how you feel about them, that does not necessarily require, like, if there's not a word limit, then I would say a drawing, anything that elicits your emotions, is perfectly acceptable. And to argue against that from the teacher's perspective would require you to write your syllabus better and more concretely. Like if your students use their ingenuity to get around it, that's a you problem more than anything.
I feel like there was probably more specificity with the actual assignment than is making it through the lawsuit and then through the New York Times and then through us.
When we're playing the game of telephone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, like when you've got an assignment like that, tell me the emotions these things elicit. Okay, if I just write down the word apathy, it's the same thing.
Yeah. And I mean, if you want to get really technical, what are words but collections of squiggly lines that just are imbued with meaning?
And if my squiggly line imbues that I didn't give a fuck, and I write down a word that says I didn't give a fuck, then either way, there were cares, and they weren't transcribed on the paper, so they weren't given.
All right, but so this one now, as an atheist, when I think Pledge of Allegiance, problems, my first thought is immediately the one nation under God bit. Because
the part that was added like
in the
surreptitiously
1950s, yeah.
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 Like,
that's the first thing I think of is like okay, well, that doesn't represent the entire nation. Like that, like if it's one nation under God doesn't represent the whole nation. It only represents a part of it. And you know the people that wrote that were thinking specifically of the Christian God. Like would they have been okay with someone paraphrasing it and changing it to under Allah?
I mean, one, no, they wouldn't. But two, if memory serves, like one of the reasons that was added in was they
to
literally
fight the godless communists.
It was part of the Red Scare. They literally went, hey, what's a little bit of propaganda that we can unite the nation under? Yes, this one won't be controversial at all. And then as generations grow up with that, like for my mom, that was the Pledge of Allegiance for the entirety of her time growing up, and she's a Christian. So were I to confront her on this one, to her, this would be like you'd immediately go boomer mode almost, where they'd go, well, this is how it always was for me when I was a kid, and there was nothing wrong with it, that kind of deal. And you're just like, that's not the issue. That's not the problem.
Just because that's how it always was doesn't mean that's how it always should be.
Yeah, but we don't play philosophy bingo, fallacy bingo rather. We don't play fallacy bingo with everybody, though it is fun.
Yeah. So anyway, the part that she was objecting to was the part about liberty and justice for all, because the United States does not guarantee liberty and justice for all. I mean,
no, it doesn't.
In like hypothetically, they do when you're getting all jingoistic and reciting your pledges and talking about the Declaration of Independence and all that crap.
We literally put Japanese people into internment camps based on nothing except their race because we happen to circumstantially be in a conflict. Yeah, liberty for all. My left nut.
Cirrus, that's critical race theory. We don't do critical race theory here.
All right, James Lindsay, can you define that for me? You've read a bunch of CRT. Can you say what it is outside of like yelling authors' names on Dr. Phil?
It's when you make the black people more powerful than the white people. Maybe.
Yes. This is the whole socialism is when the government does stuff.
Did you see all those quotes from, like, I think it was Lindsey Graham was the one who's like, oh, well, Ketanji Brown Jackson, perfectly well qualified. I respect her a lot. She's got everything she needs for this job. Everything's great. I will be voting no. Like, okay.
Wasn't he also the one who was grilling her on her faith too?
Yes.
Yeah, because I remember covering that bit on my channel. The whole part where he was talking about, he was like, no, I don't think you would be biased at all, but just on the down low in front of a live studio audience of thousands of people that will never be taken off the record. Which God do you serve? Okay, nah, yeah, no, sure. This is the same crowd of people that just ask questions.
Yeah, I remember I actually caught that bit live. I popped in and out of the hearings. That was a busy day for me, so I wasn't able to sit down and watch all 5 hours or whatever it was. But I caught that bit live, and when I was watching that, it was just like, say there's no religious test. Come on, just say it. And
she did.
Yeah, she did. But first she was like Protestant, and it's like, okay, well, the one word answer, like, yeah, that's the easy one that doesn't give them the soundbite that they want. But it also like answers the question. He should just leave it alone after that. But then she did. She ended up at the no religious test for office. It was like, yeah, that's the appropriate response. It's like,
and then there's
someone being put on the Supreme Court that actually like understands the Constitution and how it's supposed to work.
You mean you don't want somebody with a history of constantly letting their religion dictate their decisions becoming part of this? I mean, Amy Coney Barrett happened. What am I talking about? I guess it just depends on the color of the politician who happens to be sitting in the White House seat. But
yeah. So after the pledge assignment, Mr. Arnold told the class that students who failed to complete it would receive a 0 grade, and then said that people who sat during the pledge were comparable to Soviet communists, members of the Islamic faith seeking to impose Sharia law, and those who condone pedophilia.
So he gets
Whoa.
fired, right?
Um,
The teacher gets fired for that one, right? Calling your students pedophiles gets you
I
fired, right?
don't think he did.
Because that's because I'm sorry, that's literally that's one of those situations where you take them to a suit and you go, sir, did you call my client a pedophile in front of a class of their peers? No, I didn't. Okay,
No,
so this part
I
on
called
record,
people who sat for the pledge.
which just so happened to include my
Yeah.
client. So if my client is in the category of people who are functionally pedophiles, did you call my client a pedophile, sir? For the record, that's that conversation in a
Yeah.
courtroom.
Yeah, well, this is actually a little bit surprising for me as well. Because like I knew I wanted to cover this, but today's just been a crazy day for me, so I haven't had a chance to read it thoroughly yet. So I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants here. So I didn't actually know that that was coming. But yeah, I'm not seeing anything about him having any sort of repercussions for that. Like I saw it up above.
Of course, it's in Texas.
Earlier, he said he didn't admit to any wrongdoing, which to me says that this was like a settlement out of court sort of thing.
Well, of course he's not going to say it's a situation where
Where it's
the
like
teacher goes,
I get to keep my job and you get $90,000. I like that's what I feel this is.
yeah, and I'm going to be honest. While I feel like that's fine, in quotation marks, because the job market sucks. I don't want people to lose their livelihood, generally speaking. But
I also don't want people in a classroom telling kids that they're pedophiles for
yeah,
not being jingoistic, nationalistic assholes.
that's the other side of the coin. I'm just like, I want you to be able to support your family, but I maybe don't want you to be able to support
I found it.
calling.
He has taught at Klein Oak for more than 5 decades and is still currently employed at the school.
So he's likely under tenure, and if he's under tenure, you can't get him out.
Do high school teachers get tenure?
Yeah, high school teachers get tenure.
I thought that was just a college university thing.
No, we ran into that problem in Florida. We had a teacher. I'm not going to say his name for obvious reasons, but we had a teacher who would routinely cause problems for students. And because he had taught for so long, I think it was 3 decades for him. He had tenure, so he couldn't be gotten rid of no matter how many complaints came up. It eventually, the vice principal, when he became principal, ended up having to play a bit of politics to finally get him out of teaching. It was he gave him a curriculum and said, this is the curriculum you need to teach for IT. And he said he didn't want to teach it. He said, well, if you're going to teach here, this is the curriculum you're going to teach. And he said, fine, I'll just take my shit and leave and take my retirement. And that's how they ended up having to get that teacher gone, because he had tenure. He was functionally immune.
Yeah, on the one hand, tenure can be a good thing because protective of labor and stuff like that, but they can't just get away with anything.
No, okay. And like obviously there are ways you can push that envelope to make exceptions happen, but I guess in Texas, calling your students actual child predators doesn't quite get to the point of being problematic enough. As long as they're communists too. Well, like we have to be real enemies
and members of the Islamic faith seeking to impose Sharia law.
Like, congratulations, you have you've literally gotten every boogeyman from the past 30 years, and you've wrapped them up in a candy wrapper and thrown it at your student. That's what you did.
Yeah.
It's colored red. It looks like a person who reads a book in the sand, kind of, I think. I was told once by Bush, maybe. And also, trans people are predators for some reason. That's what we're going with now on the conservative side of things. So, yeah, predators. We'll call children that, too. Which every enemy, all of them, all at once.
Oh,
just no.
Yeah, fun times. Oh, I forgot to mention. Yeah, we're going to move on to the next article now, but I forgot to mention earlier on. In order to encourage super chats, there is a special super chat little thingy. Those things that happen in the bottom corner there. There's a special one I randomized the different tiers that get the different things, and I'm not going to say which tier gets it. And I know I didn't just make it the top one. I actually did randomize it. I assigned them all numbers and everything because I planned on doing this, and then I forgot because I'm organized. So
We do this full time, everybody.
Send some goddamn super chats, and then you get to see. Well, I'm not going to say it's good. You'll see it.
Everyone, if you throw money at Rhino, he'll let me go. I'm currently being held hostage, and if you don't throw money at Rhino, then he will feed me only half of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Okay, but that doesn't sound like a punishment. That's like peanut butter jelly is pretty good.
It's the peanut butter half only.
Oh, okay.
We had to play with what half a sandwich was. He's only giving me half of his Subway sandwich. That doesn't sound bad. He's giving me the half with the mayonnaise and spinach. That's it. Oh.
Spinach sandwich isn't bad.
Well, I've been poor enough to know the mayonnaise sandwich isn't quite bad either, depending on where you're sitting.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, I don't know if it's the same where you are, but the fancy bread is like not like fancy, but like the better like 12 grain whole wheat stuff is not that much more expensive than Wonder Bread.
It's about 10 cents more expensive here. Like that.
Yeah. So it's easier to eat slightly healthier bread. It's still not the healthiest bread you can get.
Hey, there is a nostalgic feeling to that white bread sticking to the roof of your mouth as if it were jelly paste.
Yes, there is. Okay, so since we were talking about the Pledge of Allegiance, I decided to move on to this is just kind of a fun one. There's going to be enough bad stuff later in the episode. So we're just keeping it light. Apparently, the Pledge of Allegiance, attributed to Francis Bellamy, was maybe not written by Francis Bellamy. Now,
know what? Was it stolen from a child?
Oh, Nunya Business sent a super chat. Yeah, so Nunya Business. Yeah, so there have been a few super chats. My apologies. I didn't. The sound's not coming through. Why is the sound not coming through?
Yes.
That's okay. The sound's not part of the thing. Who cares?
The stable list of programs.
It's better than Streamlabs OBS, significantly.
That's more ethical.
Yeah, I'm gonna read the super chats at the end because they get me distracted. So yeah, I'm gonna do after the tweets. I will do super chats, and I've actually
ADHD brains on this.
I have actually labeled on my Stream Deck. There's the button that rolls the end credits is now labeled end credits. Check super chat, because if I don't do that, then I will forget. So we've got super chats for $5 and $2. Just reminder that there are tips as well, like that go through PayPal that are counted differently through the thing when looking.
Remember, everybody, he set this up so that he wouldn't derail, and said he's derailing about derailing. Like I said, having two ADHD brains on this was maybe not the best combination, but we're here.
I haven't been diagnosed, but I suspect.
I haven't been diagnosed, but I have had Ocean in my house, and he has just looked at me and went, "Dude, get checked." I'm not even kidding.
For me, it's just that I'll see all these posts on social media talking about these are some things that I struggle with as someone with ADHD, and every single one of those posts is just like, that describes exactly what is going on inside my brain. Maybe I should talk to a doctor.
Welcome to the hyperfixation into special interest pipeline.
Yeah, we showed each other shots of our neat and tidy offices earlier. That might be related.
Fucked up office.
That might be related.
Yeah. It's almost like there's a thing that makes us go, our job is done. We've done the thing. We've accomplished our goal. Oh my God, what have I done? Everything around me is destroyed. They blew it up. They blew it all up.
I started organizing my filing cabinet, so there's all paper, just right below the level of the camera here is just papers everywhere.
Okay, somebody in the chat just said they would feed me a Vegemite sandwich, and I have to say right now, I'm gonna sidebar for a second. Chris McDaniel, you. It is debatable how ethical the thing you just said is.
Right.
Anyways. Anyways, I
Okay.
won't be as mean to them as I am to my chat.
Just a second. I'm gonna. Let's see. I don't know if nobody triggers it by the end, I will trigger it myself because it's something that I want to see happen. But let's actually read this news article, shall we?
Oh God, our jobs, damn, we have to do that.
Now the question is, do I take the sidebar, chop it up, and put that up alone as a segment?
You might as well.
It was like 8 minutes.
You might as well. I mean, somebody would watch that and just be like, "Yeah, that's content." It happened on Sunset City. I had a friend of mine come up to me and he's like, all the conversations you guys have about Sonic on Sunset? I'm like, yeah. He goes, when you guys just randomly play Fortnite, that's the better content. And I'm just like, we don't even record half of that.
Okay, I'm sorry. I know I'm getting off topic again, but you talked about gaming or whatever. I've been trying to play Half-Life Alyx because I have VR now, and Half-Life Alyx is no, I haven't. I've kind of figured out like where my limits are. Like for Half-Life Alyx, I can't do the walking around thing. I have to do the jumping.
Okay.
'Cause, like I can't do Boneworks.
Walking around in anything VR makes me feel sick.
Yeah.
I've done it in VR chat. It's terrible.
I've tried Boneworks. I really want to love Boneworks, but I just can't do it because it makes me nauseous. But Half-Life Alyx, I love it because the mechanic, like you can customize it so that you can, like I can hop around instead of walking around, so it works. It doesn't make me nauseous. And the gameplay mechanics are just fun. Like it feels natural. Like everything that you're doing, like it just makes sense that you would be doing that. Like once you learn it, you learn it. You don't have to, oh, what was the control for this thing? And it just kind of works. The problem is I'm a scared little baby. So I'm playing a horror game with zombies and head crabs in VR with
don't go to Ravencroft
in the dark. And it's like, can like the head crabs jumping out? I can deal with that because they make enough noise that there are head crabs around, and they do it slowly enough.
They do the skittering.
It's not a jump scare kind of thing. But even though they do jump right at your face, but
well, also generally in the Half-Life series, you have to physically go to places like Ravencroft to deal with head crabs. They're usually geographically locked.
Yeah, but that's just an example. But it's like,
yeah.
But then I'm just getting to the part where like you're now underground and there are no lights, and I don't have the flashlight yet. And even when you do have the flashlight, I don't really think that's going to help much. So it's like, can there just be a mod to turn on the lights? Can it just be light? I could handle it if it was light.
Have you played the Resident Evil 2 remake?
Because
that's a feeling you get during that a lot. Like.
Oh, you know what? I actually started playing the original Half-Life in preparation for Half-Life Alyx, and it took me longer than I care to admit to realize that I actually already had the flashlight and just press it. I was about to give up. I was about to give up and quit the game because I couldn't figure out my way through these damn vents because it's just black. And then it's like, oh, I have a flashlight. I just have to press F.
That's unfortunately, that's a thing that a lot of FPSs of that era did. Even Halo kind of did that, where like there was one little prompt to tell you that you had a flashlight on a hotkey. And if you missed that prompt, well, you may as well go to the keybind menu. But if you don't know to do that, sucks.
Well, yeah, that's what saved me. I went to Google and was like, is there a flashlight in Half-Life? And it's like, yeah, press F. I'm like, okay, there we go.
For flash. I need to play. I need to actually get Resident Evil 4 VR for my Oculus system.
Shut the fuck up. Let's read this article.
You brought it up. This is your segue.
Shut it. Pledge of Allegiance was plagiarized. Francis Bellamy. Okay, I guess I should do the intro to this article again since we're so far off base now. So the Pledge of Allegiance, or something like that, was originally attributed to Francis Bellamy. He claims to have written it back in the 18 whatevers, about 100 years before they added under God. But apparently Like you go through the history of it, it's actually kind of fascinating. This Francis Bellamy guy was higher up at, I don't know if he was the editor or the owner, but he worked at a newspaper, and that newspaper ran a no, don't want to put my email in. It ran a contest for kids to like write a poem about patriotism or something, and it's kind of crazy because the kid that wrote the poem that became the Pledge of Allegiance, or that most likely wrote the poem, where's his name? Let's search. I think it was.
It says here that
it's the same last name.
Historian Barry Popkick discovered this.
Is that a red flag?
No. I'm just
okay. I was
saying the name of the person who made the discovery for those who might be interested.
Okay, the tone of voice there sounded almost like oh, this guy, he's always off the rails. And I was getting ready to be like, okay, we can just shut this down now and talk more about video games or whatever. So anyway, Francis Bellamy is the guy who is attributed with the pledge, but the kid who wrote the poem that might have been what he stole as the pledge was named Frank Bellamy. So it's almost the same name. But
also Barry Popkick is he's an etymologist who is a consulting editor for the Oxford Encyclopedia Food and Drink. So he's actually like not that bad.
Yeah. So the way he found this out was that there was an article that he stumbled across that was published in a newspaper a few years before Bellamy said that he wrote the pledge, and it had a record of kids in school reciting the words, "I pledge allegiance to my flag and to the republic for which it stands, one nation inseparable with liberty and justice for all." Which sounds...
That's like a couple steps left of the actual pledge.
Yeah, that's like 3 words changed.
Yeah.
Like, did Bellamy originally write my flag or the flag? Because they didn't highlight that one as one of the changes. But
let me see here. Original Pledge of Cults of America.
Well, see, I'm a good Canadian, so I can actually recite the pledge from memory. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Boy, howdy, I sincerely hope that nobody catches wind of the fact that Francis Bellamy was an out-and-out socialist. That's funny.
Was he? I got the impression from this article that he was kind of right-wing.
So you have
like,
to remember
there's that whole thing, like they I know this doesn't really mean anything, but they did the Hitler salute before Hitler.
So you have to remember that this dude was writing in the late 1800s, early 1900s, before the Red Scare.
Yeah.
So it was a lot more normalized for people to be socialists or communists in the United States around that time. Pre-Red Scare era and post-Red Scare era has a lot of changes, including whether or not, Democrats and Republicans are right-wing or left-wing. There's a lot of awkwardness there.
Yeah, the Republicans like to claim Lincoln as one of their own because he was a Republican.
Yeah, he was totally a Republican, only because they were trying to build a party that could beat the Democrats because the Whigs had tried and failed. And then, we never talk about the Southern strategy. That's an awkward conversation.
American history from that time just sounds so British.
Yeah. Boy, howdy, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, does it?
We had to beat the Whigs. Damn it.
Yep. But it does look... See, the Pledge of Allegiance... the original form reads, "I pledge allegiance to my flag and the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all." In 1923, the flag of the United States of America were added. So I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. In 1954, in response to the communist threat of the times, Eisenhower encouraged the words "under God." And then that's how we morph into here. But yes, it did begin... His version did begin with "my flag."
Yeah. Okay, so that one wasn't changed. So he changed 2 words out of the whole thing.
Yeah, which is about what you would expect from, like, the difference in writing between an adult and a child.
Yeah.
Just, we polish this up just a tiny smidge.
Yeah, I've definitely done that for my kids. But I just think it's hilarious that they've got the same name. basically. But yeah, so this is so I'm getting this from Only Sky, which is that's the organization that Hemant Mehta blogs for now that he's left Pathos.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a Hemant article, and I like how he doesn't pull his punches a lot. There's Francis Bellamy was a xenophobic bigot who wrote the pledge to make sure immigrants pledged their loyalty to the U.S. flag instead of the one representing where they came from. While he had no problem with European immigrants, he lamented the newer wave of immigrants coming into the country at the time.
You know, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Oh, read up about Henry Ford sometime. Like Henry Ford, comma anti-Semitism.
Oh, believe me, you know that he's like the origin of the war on Christmas, right?
You know that he's like cited by Nazis at the Nuremberg trials as like his book on the International Jew was like their second most influential book after Mein Kampf.
Yep.
And he's also the only American to get a positive mention in Mein Kampf.
Yeah, no, look, that is almost as impressive as J.K. Rowling getting cited by Putin.
Oh, that was amazing.
That was an "Are we the baddies" moment?
Yeah. Yes, J.K., you are. And she's like siding with some like anti, like just forget about trans people for a moment. She's siding with like anti-gay people.
Because what
like,
happens?
Yeah, I know,
unfortunate
but it's like
side effect of
but like her books were supposed to be like they were supposed to be a safe place for people who were different.
Her book. Wait, hold on. Her books. I'm sorry. You misunderstand that those literary masterpieces were written by Hatsune Miku. I have no idea who you're talking about.
This is the first I've heard of that.
God, this is where we explain the joke and it stops being funny.
Okay.
Just you take a literary art, and whenever the author becomes super yikesy, you just go, well, cool. Well, it's a good thing you didn't fucking write this. Yank it away from them.
Literally separate the art from the artist.
Yes, forcibly if need be.
I can't do that sometimes. I can't watch anything with Gwyneth Paltrow in it. Like she ruins the end of the Marvel movies for me because she plays such a big role at the end there, and it's like, nope, all I see is someone trying to sell you vagina candles and jade eggs.
Look, all I'm saying is there's a very particular audience that wanted those candles, and not because they smelled like Vaguboo, but because they were supposed to smell like Paltrow's Vaguboo. And that does not make it better. That makes that audience worse.
Yeah, okay, but that aside, I highly doubt it even smelled like that.
You, how much have you looked into Goop?
More than your average person, but less than some people?
I don't doubt that it is. I don't doubt that I don't doubt they're not synthetic based on the things I've seen with them. Just
don't they? Yeah. I thought they had a list of ingredients for that candle, and it was like I remember being shocked that there was like a flavor of tea was one of the scents that was part of the Her Vagina candle.
Her Vaguboo smells like, and yes, and there's a hint of a black tea in here.
Yeah, no, I actually I remember that because it was Earl Grey, and that's the tea that I drink, and I'm like, I don't want to be drinking Her Vagina. So now you got me looking up Gwyneth Paltrow vagina candle ingredients.
So which Google account is this looked up on?
This is the one that's still logged in on the account that my kids use.
Yep. That's
Whoops.
You know what? We all make mistakes. My parents made me. I'm still kicking around. Let's see here. Oh my god. The fucking beginning of this email that was sent in here Truly, has any vagina ever been as fruitful as Gwyneth Paltrow's?
Okay, no, here we go. So geranium,
Okay.
these aren't ingredients. These are the notes that you are supposed to get while you're smelling it.
Okay.
So it's geranium, citrusy bergamot, which that is an ingredient in some Earl Grey tea blends, so that's why I was thinking Earl Grey, and cedar, juxtaposed with damask rose and ambrette seed to put us in mind of fantasy seduction. Like, no, that's not what a vagina smells like.
You know, I'm pretty sure Gwyneth Paltrow thinks her vagina smells a certain way, and nobody is willing to tell her otherwise.
Probably not. Okay, remember when this was a news show?
You know what? I do remember that. Remember what I said about two ADHD brains?
Yeah. Maybe
We're here.
we shouldn't host this together anymore. Or we should, because this is fun. This is fun. It's not very focused, but it's fun. Someone sound off in the chat. I haven't really been looking at the chat. Did you guys get to see the thingy? Did you see the thingy?
I did not check.
Let's see.
Sly Dinky Dog. I hope her Fagubu is decaf. I don't want to be up all night. Oh my god.
Oh, I don't think they did. I think they just missed it. Oh wait, no, they might have. No, that was February 2nd. Never mind, I'm going too far back. Okay, where's the just do today? Today. What is today? Today's April 6th? Has anyone sent stuff through PayPal or through the Steam the friggin' link that the stupid bot is spamming in the chat? Because nothing's showing up.
I have no idea.
I thought I saw one or two.
You know, an easy way to figure that out would be to check your PayPal.
Yeah, through Stream Elements, it always takes a couple minutes.
It's usually pretty instantaneous for me. Poor woman has cedar splinters in her. Oh my god.
See, now here I am logging onto PayPal on stream. This is why I have the separate account set up for the captures, because no, there's nothing in my actual PayPal. Okay, I'll give you the hint. It is through the PayPal thing that ended up happening. I rolled a 5 on the D6. Not sure if that's going to help anyone. Doesn't really mean anything if you don't know which ones were attached to what. Anyway, so the next thing comes to us from The Hill. Pretty reliable source, I think. Yeah.
Generally speaking, to the point of blandedness, yes.
Yeah, they try to avoid sensationalism. But this is a pretty sensational headline. Tennessee GOP kill bill to ban child marriage. So I'm going to skip ahead to one of the tweets that I have. Where are we? So Kevin Sorbo says, stop talking to children about sex. I'm going to talk more about this tweet later. No. That's not the one. Yeah, so Kevin Sorbo says, nobody is trying to sexualize your kids, don't worry, so then why is it a problem to ban it?
And yet
we are trying to, but the friggin' Republicans keep being like, no, we like marrying minors. It's like this
reminds me of are you familiar with Nick Fuentes?
Yes, passingly. I know he's got that creepy stash thing going on.
No,
wrong button. Wrong button.
There's a quote of his that is very, very, very yikesy. I covered it ages ago.
So he spoke?
Yes, he does speak.
That's but like every time he speaks, it's very, very yikesy.
Yeah, I know. The last time I covered him, he was talking about the secret sauce of America being young white men. And
ooh.
For somebody who claims to be very straight, talking about young white men's secret sauce on the regular, maybe not the best look for him for what he's trying to accomplish. But no, the quote from him in relation to this, it was when Matthew Gaetz was caught with somebody who was underage, or at least was caught having had solicited at one point potentially somebody who was underage, allegedly
across state lines.
Yeah, and his thing was, the truly conservative position, if we're being really honest with ourselves here, is actually to lower the age of consent. And I'm just like, so the words you're saying are not incorrect. That is technically, it was more legal at one point in the past. Yes, that doesn't make it good.
Slavery was legal once. If you make slavery legal, then slavery will be legal, definitionally.
I'm actually fairly certain that's a position he supports too.
Oh,
but I could
probably
be wrong.
Yeah,
Could be wrong.
Yeah, so it's like I saw someone in the chat saying, I can't believe child marriage is still legal in some states. It's not some states, it's most states. I think there's only like 6 states that have an all-out ban on marriage of anyone under 18. Like every other state, including liberal ones like California, there are situations where they say, oh no, it's okay in this instance. Now, some are more liberal than others. Tennessee is one of the ones where, like, ironically, the conservative states are more liberal with who they're allowed to marry kids.
Remember what I said about the real conservative position, but so it's if you're familiar with Matt Walsh, this is kind of a thing that he's beat the drum on a handful of times. And like, if technically, like his position on this would be like, well, if marriage is generally only a thing that's allowed between adults, then why should we have to ban child marriage? It seems superfluous. It's already technically not legal because of X thing. Which leads me to go, you don't understand how laws work, do you? We actually need redundancy in our laws because vagueness is baked into several of them. And with this bill, this one is HB 233. The vagueness of this bill is the actual problem. Because the purpose of this, it's literally a fucking 2-page bill. That's all it is. It's 2 pages. And it just talks about reinstating a separate type of marriage that could be understood more under like previous common laws, which really just means you've made a super special, awesome, separate kind of purely heterosexual marriage, but you forgot to put the age limit. You forgot to put the number when this is legal. And the dude who wrote the law, or the dude who wrote the bill, Leatherwood, literally said, no, there's not actually an explicit age. I'm like, oh, so it's not a bug. It's a feature. That doesn't make it better. That makes it worse. That makes it way worse.
Yeah, so David Fowler, who's an attorney and a former state senator, he pointed at, like, the way he's arguing it is that the Supreme Court's ruling in 2015, the Obergefell versus Hodges, it essentially nullified all Tennessee marriage licenses when it opened the spectrum of legal marriage beyond just between a man and a woman. And that was reported in the Tennessean at the time. And so that's kind of, this is supposed to be a counter to that, where it's like, okay, well, if that kind of marriage is for everybody, then we're going to make our own special marriage that's just for us and also children.
Remember, the more kids that are allowed, the more, I'm going to say something that sounds really yikesy. The more gays you allow to marry, the less sanctimonious marriage is. But the more children you allow to marry, the more special it is. That's, I mean, functionally, that's the end result of this. That's just not. I feel like maybe a few people aren't thinking that through all the way.
So to read the ending paragraph, basically what has happened is the Family Action Council, any organization with the name family in it is immediately going to be right-wing Christian conservative sort of thing, which, so it introduces them earlier as a Christian-based advocacy group against same-sex marriage. That's what they always are. Anytime there's family in the word, there's a big red flag. They want to continue to let 13-year-olds get married in the state at the sake of their court case against, I think they mean for the sake of their court case against same-sex couples. It's disgraceful. I'm embarrassed for the state of Tennessee, and I can only pray that we bring this back next year and not let them get in the way. Now there's some. I'm a bit confused with this because there's some back and forth with the legislation. It's like there's some people that are sponsoring a bill that would end the child marriage, and then the Republicans are like looking to table that or get rid of that or vote it down, and then there's like a counter bill from the Republicans, I think. I'm not sure. There's two pieces going on here that I don't quite.
I wish. So there's a problem we have in Georgia, and there's a problem. This problem is mirrored in Tennessee. I can literally drive for an hour and smack Tennessee with my face. There's a problem in both of these states, and that is that a lot of people, red and blue, a lot of people do not actually read bills. They do not actually know what's being passed through the legislature at any point in time. So no matter how much back and forth there is on this, the end result is it doesn't matter. The people who are voting for the Republicans and some of the people who vote blue too, they aren't reading any of this. They have no idea.
Yeah, so Don McCauley in the chat is pointing out that the marriage laws, one of the big problems with child marriage is that under the age of 18, you're not legally allowed to enter into a contract.
Yeah.
The marriage is an exception to that. Things that are not an exception to that are things like retaining a lawyer, something that's needed to get a divorce.
Yeah.
So you're allowed to get married when you're legally allowed to get married when you're under 18, but you're considered too young to understand the implications of signing a contract, so you can't get a divorce.
But
and
Rhino,
that's a huge problem.
I don't think you understand. That is also not a bug, but a feature, because divorce ruins the sanctity of marriage.
Yeah, that's true. They're supposed to believe that, but they don't really fight for that all that often when it's them that need the divorce.
Well, yes, hypocrisy is a lovely thing. Like nobody's saying that that's not a thing that happens. It's just unfortunately, if we were to accept the things that politicians say when they stand on the podiums, then the position that I just threw out is the one that usually gets stated. Generally speaking, they'll argue that like, oh, divorce rates go up, that's bad, and it's like, is it though? That just reads to me like people realizing they didn't want to be in relationships with one another. And if we're going to hold the position that it's none of our business, then people divorcing isn't a crisis. It's just none of our business.
It's just what happens sometimes.
Yeah,
okay.
Sometimes you break up with, your child. Oh, wait, no, legally you can't do that. Awkward. Thanks,
okay.
Tennessee.
So I am going to... I'm sending a sample tip thing because I want you guys to see the thingy that I did. I forget what the exact amount is. I think this'll do it. That's it. There it is. And now you want to know why you wanted to see that. You didn't want to see that. That's going in.
Waiting for that to actually pop up.
Oh, yeah,
sound effect.
Because you're watching it on the... Oh, yeah, of course, now we hear the sound. See, that's the thing. I test it and the sound works. But then you guys send super chats and the sound doesn't work. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But... yeah, so that's a throwaway gag that's going in not this Friday's video, but the next one.
Oh, the adrenochrome.
Yes, you've already seen it.
Yeah, I
That's me drinking my adrenochrome.
Just like, yeah, I have seen this already. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
Apologia says just the sample tip. Yeah, no, I have the clip. I made a fucking mess in my office doing that. I probably stained my shirt, and that was a pretty good shirt. I wasn't really thinking about that when I did it. So I'm like, you know what? I did not do this just for a 2-second throwaway gag in one video. I'm going to use this somewhere else too. So here we are.
I'm just going to ask for posterity's sake. I think just the sample tip was a dick joke.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Okay.
I assumed it was a dick joke, but I mean, I assumed the dick maybe too often. Okay.
Never assume the dick. Always
Never
ask
assume
the dick.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
speaking of
But yeah,
speaking of that,
I saw Lars Zachariasen did send the PayPal there, testing 1 2 3. I did get that, but I didn't want to get distracted, so that's why I didn't say it when I got it.
yes, distractions. They're bad. We should never engage in them.
Should we read some tweets?
I think we should read some tweets.
Let's read some tweets. Okay, so we're starting with Kevin Sorbo because so we're not starting at the beginning for you.
Just so everybody who's watching knows this, Vice Rhino, when he sent me these tweets, did not label it Kevin Sorbo. He labeled it Sorbet.
I don't know where that came from, but like anytime he tweets anything, there's always a few people in the replies that call him Kevin Sorbet, and I it's petty, but I find it amusing, so I just titled it Sorbet.
I mean, I always go Wat Malsh Shen Bapiro. Like I generally do that. It's always petty. It means nothing, but it's still fun.
Matt Powell is Matty P. And
God, I haven't covered Matt Powell in ages.
He's who I'm working on now.
I saw Sir Six video on Matt Powell recently, where he covered Matt Powell when Matt was talking about me from 3 years ago. And I'm just like, is this an old Matt Powell video or a new Matt Powell video where he refuses to get new footage? I don't know what I'm watching, but it's funny either way.
Oh, did you see? Did you see?
Office.
Okay. Before we do the tweets, I have to say this. So the newest video on Matt Powell's channel right now, don't watch it. It's not amusing even in the slightest, but I have to tell you, he's saying that he's pulling a prank on people, and the prank is called the ordering food too loud prank. So what he does is he goes into a fast food place with big old headphones on his head like this, and then he like, hey, can I get a burger and a coffee and some fries? And then everybody just looks at him like he's an idiot. And sometimes people tell him to take off his headphones, and he's like, oh yeah, so sorry. And that's it. That's the whole prank. That's not a prank. That's just being an idiot.
How is that a prank? You're just making a fool of yourself.
No, it's like a prank is supposed to like make the other person into the fool, and then you reveal it at the end, and it's like you get them to sign a thing saying, I'm okay with this. I actually thought
maybe working with Kent Hovind has just made him think that a prank is making himself look like an idiot.
Yeah, that could be it. But I mean, he doesn't need to try to do that. He just does that normally. Where are you going?
I have disappeared.
Oh, you're changing avatars.
Yeah, I have changed. There we go.
All right, so we're starting off with Kevin Sorbo's no one's trying to sexualize your kids, don't worry. So then why is it a problem to ban it? Okay, so this is obviously about the Florida bill. The problem with the Florida bill is that it doesn't, like, allowing kids to be LGBTQ is not sexualizing them. Allowing them to see that other people are LGBTQ is not sexualizing them. Allowing them to know that their buddy has 2 moms or 2 dads or whatever, that is not sexualizing that child. That is just, this is how the world works.
Yes, but you don't understand. He is a very strong-willed Christian conservative. This means that you have missed the vital piece of information. LGBT means predator. It all means predator to him. All of it.
And worse, they might even sit down for the pledge.
He might sit down for the pledge like a true communist, Sharia law enforcing.
Oh God.
My God, that just reminds me of that. What's worse than this? A child.
All right.
But okay, so there's a funny thing that's happened. So I with the Don't Say Gay bill. So as it's written, it explicitly bans it up to the 3rd grade, and then it has a clause right afterwards that says, or anything that can be considered age inappropriate, or anything, and that's left vague and arbitrary and up to interpretation. However, what a lot of people who watch over on my channel know, I hang around in a lot of conservative crowds because I'm in Georgia, and if you hang around people, that's just who they are.
Welcome to
here.
Georgia.
You don't find your liberals mingle with you can find wholly conservative crowds, or you can find crowds that have some liberals and conservatives, but you very rarely find the latter crowd alone outside of like the middle of Atlanta. So I listened to a friend of mine complain about my reporting on the Don't Say Gay bill because he said that it only covers up to age or only covers up to grade 3. Why is that a problem? I don't understand. Bear in mind, this is a person who listened to me read the bill verbatim on stream. And then, after listening to people, I assume on Fox News, talk about it, where they omit the information instead of read the bill verbatim, then took that take and brought it to me, to which we got to have the same conversation again, but where I had to go, no, the bill as written does not say what you says it did. It doesn't. And this will be the second time I've read this bill to you, and I don't know why I have to do that.
Yeah, well, and then of course I hope teachers get on board with this, but it is Florida, so I'm not very hopeful. But the ones that are like, they're flipping it on their heads and be like, well, teaching them about straight people and that boys and girls are things that exist are also covered under this vague umbrella that was kept specifically vague.
Yep.
So it's
the whole like we need like the minute a teacher or the minute somebody says like, hey, can we split our groups into girls and boys? What are you should no. Those are naughty words. You should know about those things. No.
Yeah, no,
we can't talk about those words.
All of the students in the class are they them.
They have to be.
Yeah, legally.
You can't learn about
That's the law. You don't want me to break the law, do you?
I'm just suddenly reminded of I ain't never used a pronoun before, and I damn sure ain't gonna use one now.
Oh.
Oh shoot! You know what? I need to actually contact my history teacher because he writes some of the curriculum for high school history courses in Northern Florida. I need to talk with him and see about how that's going on. Like, get some conversations from the boots on the ground, as it were.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we've got Stand to Reason. Says here are 6 reasons to trust the Bible. 1, its story fits together. I don't know what Bible you're reading, but like.
But wait, hold on. All of my Bibles, the stories fit together perfectly well. There's even glue on the spine to make certain of that.
Okay, you want to go that route? My Corinthians are removable.
Oh well, so
it doesn't
Never
fit together.
They don't fit.
It just doesn't fit.
So okay, on this first one,
that's my confirmation Bible. I've had that since 2001, I think. 2001, yeah.
If the story of your book makes so much sense, why did the most important story in it have to be told 4 separate times with varying degrees of information? Why did your genocide story have to be told twice and crammed together in weird mixed fashions? I'm just confused.
And on top of that, why do dozens and dozens, thousands probably, of books have to be written explaining what this one book that's story is so coherent?
God is not the author of confusion. Not the author of confusion.
Yeah, and then its prophecies have been fulfilled. I have yet to see a prophecy that would even count as a prophecy, like by actually being specific enough to figure out whether or not it has been fulfilled without being a failed prophecy.
These are as loose as Harry Potter prophecies. Could be Harry, could be Neville, who the fuck knows?
Yeah. Neville got screwed in the movies. So
did Ron.
Was that a he got together with Hermione joke, or that his character got screwed?
So most of the times were in the books Ron explains a basic thing about the wizarding world that makes it seem like he grew up in it as he fucking did.
Oh yeah, and in the movies he's just a fucking idiot about everything.
Yeah, they're all handed to Hermione. Everyone. Ron's the one that gives the information about Devil's Snare in Sorcerer's Stone. Ron's the one that handles Ron handles a bunch of problems for Harry.
It's been a really long time since I've read the books, because like I don't know, I find like it's more than just J.K. Rowling and like trying to separate her from them, but like it's just there are better books out there.
There are better books. That there's nothing saying that, but there's also better books than the Darth Bane trilogy, and I've definitely read those an unhealthy amount of times.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It's okay to like trash sometimes.
Yes, I still play Yu-Gi-Oh! Falsebound Kingdom.
I ate a whole pint of ice cream before the stream.
I had a milkshake before the stream, and I'm very lactose intolerant.
Oh, so you might have to end it in a hurry then.
Look, I've been lactose intolerant a long time. I can hold it for a bit. I'm trained in the ways.
I used to work with a woman who was lactose intolerant, and every day she would start her shift by making herself an Earl Grey latte.
Mm-hmm.
And she could never figure out why her stomach was acting up halfway through the shift. It's like, because a latte is just like, it was a little bit of tea and then a bunch of milk, and you're lactose intolerant. Like she just never made the connection between the milk in the latte being actual milk.
Yeah, the Cold Stones near me just got in almond milk ice cream for the first time.
Oh, nice.
And the ability to have an ice cream cone without suffering afterwards was a magical experience I have not been able to have unmedicated until that moment. So,
nice. So number 3, it resonates with our intuitions. Well,
why the fuck does that matter?
You know what? Even if it did matter, so I've raised my kids largely outside of religion. And I did start the podcast with my daughter, Bible Through a Child's Eyes, where I'm reading her the Bible I haven't told her that, oh, Bible's garbage, you got to not believe anything it says. I haven't preached against the Bible. I don't, like, in my normal everyday life, the atheism doesn't really come up. I just don't mention religion stuff for the most part. But neither has she gone to Sunday school and been in the Christian environment her entire life. So she's just kind of coming at it with no prior experience other than cultural. And
this is the Bible reloaded, but with a child.
Yeah, basically. But it does not resonate with her intuitions. Her intuitions have on numerous occasions been that God is an evil dick. She didn't say dick, but God is evil. She has called him evil several times just from what it says in the Bible.
Is he the bad guy, Dad?
Yeah, basically.
Yes, probably.
And yeah, so now that I've mentioned the stream, I should mention she has expressed interest in recording again, so we might be resuming that soon. We're going to try and get a record session in this weekend, which means maybe next weekend I can get that edited by. So hopefully it'll resume soon.
So I love how number 4 and 5 are equally awkward to me. Number 4, it accurately records historical events. Cool. Then you know what? I'm willing to accept that on its face. I'm willing to grant that premise on its face. If that is enough for you to worship a book, then I've got a handful of textbooks right here, and if I can find a way to make a sexy nun out of them, I will, damn it. But past that, I don't see how a book written from contemporaries of events sometimes, I don't see how it's that cool that it would accurately record some historical events if it's written by contemporaries of those events.
But it also doesn't.
I know, sometimes it just doesn't. Sometimes it just does. I get that, you know, sometimes it's written like 100 years after the event, and they're just like, Bob told Earl, who probably was with Lisa last night and said it right after Cumin, that, you know, this man was hung up on a cross one day, and for some reason she talks about it every night on her knees, and I don't get it. Like, I get that there's a little bit of that he said, she said that goes on a lot in the Bible as well. But if we grant the premise that it accurately records history, then all we have is a book written by people that lived through certain events and they talked about those events. Congratulations. You have all of the amazeballsness of a telephone conversation. You've done it. Congratulations.
Yeah. Fantastic. And it transforms lives. So does doing hallucinogenics.
Harry Potter's transformed lives. Playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Has transformed lives. Watching Pokemon has transformed lives.
Masturbating for the first time has transformed lives.
Yes, it did. Rouge the Bat has never left my memories. I mean, what?
Oh, I was surprised the first time. I did not know what was coming. There was an awkward hobble to the washroom.
I didn't quite have that problem, but I refuse to explain why.
Yeah, no, I'm not going into details either,
but
that would be sexualizing children. I was a minor then.
You wouldn't want to get Kevin Sorbo angry. And then
it has survived despite attempts to destroy it.
I have destroyed a copy of Twilight. Do you want me to worship that shit now because there are other copies of Twilight? If there are 50 billion copies of a thing and I destroy 49 billion of them, is it super special that a billion of them are still around? No, it doesn't mean jack.
Well, I mean, like they had the most powerful empire in the world behind them making copies of this book for several centuries. So, like,
shh, don't tell that to
like,
J. Thompson.
And yeah, well, what about? Because like it has survived several attempts to destroy it, and it's like, okay, well, most of those attempts came before it became the official religion of the Roman Empire and got the official backing of the strongest empire on earth. But we have evidence that there are other books, other writings of early Christians that existed at the same time that did not survive, or they survived in much more fragmented ways because the Catholic Church, when they became the Catholic Church, said, "Hey, this Docetus stuff, yeah, that's not us. That's heresy. You got to destroy that." And some of that stuff has survived despite the organization that's supposed to have God behind it trying to destroy it. I'd say that's a bit more powerful, wouldn't you?
I feel like a few of these people's minds would be blown if you just handed them some manuscripts from the Apocalypse of Peter.
Oh, that one's trippy. Is that the one where he heals his daughter and then re-paralyzes her after healing her? He just wanted to show that he could.
I don't remember that specific scenario from there. The main thing I remember from it is just, oh yeah, cool. This is the prototype for Dante's Inferno. Hold on. I have to see here.
Peter. Apocalypse of Peter. Oh, no, it's not the Apocalypse. I might be thinking of the Acts of Peter.
No, Apocalypse of Peter is a 100 to 150 AD document. It's where some of our earliest writings on what hell is actually come from in any with any description other than it is a lake of fire, it is a place of torment,
gnashing teeth,
or totally not Sheol. It's where we get the earliest versions of that, and then the Divine Comedy takes that work and then morphs it into the layers of hell we see in the Divine Comedy.
Yeah. All right, next we're going back to the beginning. We got Frank Turek. He says,
"Oh boy,
is there really good and evil, or are we just moist robots? Moist robots dancing to the music of our DNA. If there is no objective morality, then there is no right to anything, whether it is abortion or the right to life."
So this is one, I feel like he just used right 3 different ways in a single sentence with no delineation. I just heard right as a negative right as a positive right, and right as in something being morally correct, all in the same sentence with This dude's an author, right?
Yeah. Well, allegedly.
Allegedly an author. So this is a mistake that shouldn't happen, right? It feels like that's just a thing that should. Also, he said moist. I'm sorry.
Moist.
You've got to. You said moist, and you didn't say the word that cancels it out. Scuba. Just because scuba's fun to say.
Really? I've never heard that.
No, seriously, just say it. Just say it. Say it slowly.
Scuba. That is.
See, it's a fun word.
It is a fun word. It
has no right being as fun. Apologies says, hey, my debate with Frank is premiering on Friday. Just saying. You know what? Shameless plug.
I like scoot myself. Scoot.
I'm banned from saying scoot in Magic the Gathering circles. There's a card called Scoot Swarm that doubles itself every time you play a land.
Scoot Swarm.
It's literally the last game I had where I played it. I had 182,000 of them on the board, and everybody just kind of went. They all hit for 1 damage, and we all start with 40 life. Okay, this feels like overkill.
So my response on Twitter to this one was because this is just a complete non sequitur. Like the point that he's trying to make just doesn't follow from anything that he says. So my response to that was: is there really hot or cold, or do Yetis survive by eating massive amounts of spaghetti?
Have you never seen a Yeti consume spaghetti? It's terrifying.
I do. I have a book called "Don't Feed a Yeti Spaghetti." It's a board book. It's got a Yeti on the front with it. Like there's a hole in the mouth where you can put the felt spaghetti things.
Oh my god! So here's the thing that always bothers me about this kind of rhetoric. When you do this, you're kind of boiling people down to the sum of their parts, right? That's what he's trying to do. Like, oh, is this is everything just boring and shitty when we boil them down to their basic parts? And like, yeah, if you want to just call us flesh robots operating because our DNA said that we could.
Well, I mean,
yeah, cool.
Like,
why does that matter?
It's either DNA or God. We're still moist flesh robots.
Cool. So if it's just DNA or God,
we have to ask the
question.
What's the point in using in like being reductionist like that?
The other question you have to ask at that point is, how much influence does he think DNA has in our like everyday thought processes, right? Like how we comport ourselves generally? Because there's another angle to this. Have you read Divergent?
No. I am aware of the concept. I haven't read it.
All right. So, are you okay with light spoilers?
It's already been spoiled mostly.
Okay. So this is the spoiler warning for the chat then, if you somehow have not read Divergent and want to.
Skip ahead either 30 seconds or 20 minutes, depending on how we do this.
But in the second book onward, the idea of the genetically deficient is added into the story. And they are functionally different brands of sociopath, almost, is the way the story describes them. Just people who are bred for a certain purpose and do not have the ability to function outside that box. And so they get all like jammed into a little society where they can only do certain things. And if they manage to be a functional human being and do more than one, then they get killed by the government because they're considered divergent. Not going to get into the details past that point, but it's very weird because you start seeing the book flirt with like almost kind of not really eugenics, but close enough. So when I hear people like Frank Turek talk about dancing to the music of our DNA, I'm just like, wait, if we're really getting that far into genetic determinism, there's some very yikes implications here.
Yeah, but he's putting those on us though. That's not on his side. That's on us.
Yeah, this is the same thing that happens.
Did you just wink?
Maybe.
I don't know. Your avatar did a thing, and I thought you might have been trying to wink.
Oh, I can do that. That's easy. This is the benefit of the new tracking. I could actually, like, minor movements like that can be seen a lot better. They could not be tracked before at all.
I'm perfectly tracked. All of my movements, 100%.
You have a very cool perfectly. 3D model.
Yeah, I'm the ultimate VTuber. It's the darkening of the glasses in response to my saying that.
Oh no, I'm taking them off now.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna have fights. I'm kidding.
I am only tangentially aware of the whole VTuber phenomenon, and probably only because of you. But I have had people talk like they've made the joke about how like I'm really a rhino, so I have the meat avatar is really high quality and.
Welcome to the internet.
Yeah.
Welcome to the internet.
All right. Next up, also from Frank Turek, read the Bible with your kids and don't skip the hard stuff. Alisa Childers.
Feels like a thing that you actually do as a show on your channel.
I actually replied to that with like, hey, this seems apropos. My daughter said she wants to record again.
So what I love about this quote, my usual response to this quote, because again, this is one of the benefits of having a bunch of conservative friends. I get to say random shit and they'll go, that sounds made up. That's not in the Bible. And then you get to have you get to show them the passage.
And there she lusted after her lovers.
That's the exact one. That's the exact one that he's like, that's a fake quote. And I'm like, nah, here it is.
Ezekiel 23:20, bitch.
The other one that's fun is going, so like, having the conversation with them, like, oh, would you talk to them about the story of Sodom and Gomorrah? Oh yeah, no, yeah, everybody knows that story. I talked to them. You're like, oh, including the part where Lot gets raped by his daughters. The what now?
Yeah, that's the only story that I've skipped so far.
Yeah, and probably for good reason.
Yeah, because I don't know.
It's yikes.
Like the best case scenario there is it's just going to be a really awkward thing to listen to between me and my daughter. It's like neither of us want to talk to the other one about that.
Congratulations, you have just become more moral than Frank Turek.
Yeah.
You did it. All it took was that statement. You did it. But
I mean, it's not hard.
No, I'm not.
Oh,
I wanted to jump on that joke, and I'm choosing not to.
Oh, you wanted to jump on that joke?
God damn it! I was gonna say that's why they got the wine in the story. But
right. Next up, the next one's funny. I love this one. So we got to read it from the bottom to top. So Nick Adams, the one at the bottom, that one came first. Cancel culture has no place in American society. And then you don't see it from my timestamps, but I've seen it from other people who have other timestamps.
It's like minutes later.
No, 1 minute. Literally 1
minute
minute later. It was 1 minute. He says Disney should be stripped of their self-governing status in Florida and lose all copyright protected by Congress. Boycott them 100% and cancel your Disney Plus accounts and credit cards. No irony, no awareness, 1 minute apart.
Yep. Remember, it's only canceling when the liberals do it. When we do it, it's righteous justice.
It literally says cancel. Like, I mean, obviously it's not like cancel Disney. It's cancel your Disney Plus membership. But it's the same thing.
I know it's the same thought process. Look, just because they don't know what they're talking about doesn't mean that they're not bold in their attempts.
But can I just ask, like, Disney has self-governing status in Florida? I didn't know that.
So the Disney park is basically its own like little city almost. And it has a lot of the rights that a city would, not a park.
So it's like a city. It's not okay. Because the way I've heard other people kind of mention this around the same time as this, and the way that I was picturing it was that like Disneyland is like its own state, almost like DC, and that just seemed really wrong. Like a city kind of makes more sense because they need to have the infrastructure and they need to have certain.
Yeah, it's functionally they have their own internal government.
Yeah.
Because the rule was Florida legislators set it up in the 60s. The argument was because the Disney World Resort was so large, it functionally encompassed the geographical mass of a city or town, and therefore needed to be granted the legal rights of a city or town. So it was given its own small government that functions outside of democratically speaking. Doesn't function that way.
I mean, that's not the most problematic thing that Disney's ever pushed for.
Yeah.
I can see an argument being made for that in some ways.
Considering that Disney actually tried to go further with that self-governing status,
well, I mean,
they planned What's up?
I mean, they are Disney, so
they planned a prototype community that was going to be south of Orlando, and it was them trying to take those legal self-governing rights and expand outward to create more functional Disney cities.
So, not to bring it back to Henry Ford, but I'm picturing that little city that he made in Brazil to harvest the rubber trees, because he wanted to maximize the vertical integration. He wanted to be in control of every aspect of manufacturing to keep it away from the international Jew. And so he actually he started a colony in Brazil. He came to an agreement with the government where they let him have it. Like, he had his own rules. He had his own police force. He had his own everything. It was like a country within a country. And he was super, he never visited the place, but he was super micromanagey with it nonetheless. Like, he would, there was actually,
sounds like a mill town.
Yeah, that's what he did. He set up a mill town basically, but he would micromanage to the point where he dictated what the people would eat there, and they didn't like the food that he chose for. There was actually a violent workers' revolt there because they didn't like the food. And this Disney thing is making me think of that. It's crazy. What was that called? It was Columbia Town or something.
Godseed says, "What's an international Jew?" So Henry Ford wrote a document that the Nazis loved and quoted a lot, and it was basically a way of saying that how do we handle the fact that, the way that he worded it, if memory serves, it was that Jews have a shit ton of banking power, and therefore they need to be handled a certain way. And that's a lot of rhetoric that the Nazis ended up adopting later. But when he said the international Jew, he meant the Jews as they existed almost as a banking clan in his eyes. Which, if it sounds anti-Semitic, yes, it is.
Because he was. Fordlandia is what it was called in Brazil.
Fordlandia. Remind me never to get citizenship there.
Well, it's probably a ghost town at this point.
Remind me to go visiting there.
Okay, I'm at Wikipedia. The town remained inhabited by roughly 90 people until the latter half of the first decade of the 21st century. Why do you have to say it just say the latter half of the first decade of the 21st century. Just say between 2005 and 2010.
No, we have to write it like thespians.
What the fuck is that? No basic services were offered in the
Morgan Freeman narrating it.
I can't do Morgan Freeman. I've tried. It doesn't work well.
It was then that he knew.
Anywho.
He fucked up.
So yeah, we're going to end with sorbet.
Again.
This isn't about sorbet. This is more about the little interaction I had with the pizza guy afterward.
Mm-hmm.
Not Pizza the company, Pizza the guy who made that his Twitter username.
Wait, is there a pizza company?
Do you not have pizza in the States?
We have Little Caesars, and their tagline is pizza, but
there's a company called Pizza.
Where is this company that has the fabled thing I love?
I mean, it's not great pizza. It's better than Little Caesars, but it's not great.
It's not hard to get better than Little Caesars, let's be fair.
Little Caesars pizza is okay when it's fresh. The problem is it's almost never fresh.
It's fresh for all of 2 minutes, and then you put it in your car, and then it's not.
Yeah, but even bad pizza's still good. Wow, I'm just shocked that you guys don't have pizza. They have a cauliflower crust and everything.
There might be one somewhere, but I'm trying to think of locally to me, we've got, not counting local pizza joints, we've got Domino's, Papa John's, Marco's, Quick Trip, and Racetrack. And I think that's it.
Oh, Pizza does not currently have a branch in the United States. The Canadian-based franchise pizza company has its headquarters based in Toronto, Ontario. I didn't know that. That's fascinating. Okay, anyway, so this pizza guy says, so Kevin Sorbo said, stop talking to children about sex, to which I said, this is a recipe for ending up with pregnant children, to which this guy said, third graders can get pregnant? God, you're stupid. To which I replied, and I was a little bit proud of the reply, because like I knew someone was going to bring this up because the bill's about third graders or whatever, but Kevin's not talking about third graders. He said children, and in my eyes, anyone under the age of 18 is a child. Like, really, anyone under the age of like 23 is a child to me still.
No, don't worry. By the time you're 60, anybody under the age of 30 will be a child.
Yeah. So, but like legally speaking, anyone under the age of 18 is a child. So that's what I had in mind when I wrote my thing. I knew someone was going to jump on that, so I was happy when they did. And then he was all condescending about it too, so I got to be condescending back. He said, I mean, some of them can. Learn a bit about puberty, will you? Because girls as young as 6 have gotten pregnant in the past. It's unusual, but it can happen. So, yes, third graders can get pregnant. Doesn't happen often, but it can happen.
But in Tennessee, that's a feature, not a bug.
Oh, yeah, shut up. But then I clarified also, child does not equal third grader. Teenagers are children. Are you denying that teenagers get pregnant? God, you're stupid. I was just happy with my little reply there.
And you should be.
I don't insult people. I don't often get the thing pop up on Twitter asking, are you sure you want to tweet this? It seems kind of mean. But when I do, it's just like, yeah, I do.
I get that a lot. Maybe I'm just a mean person online.
Okay, so that was the last tweet. Now we got to do super chats before I forget. So let me just, I have stream out. My third monitor is like down low, and it's weird.
Oh, yours too.
Well, it's like a little portable monitor, and it doesn't quite fit underneath the other one. It's like connected by USB. It's just like that's where my music playlist goes.
Okay, yeah. For me, it's just that I've got my 2 monitors on a standing desk, and I can't fit the third on it, so that one just sits on the L desk. It's just there.
Yeah, no, this is just a crummy thing underneath it. But yeah, so just Lars. Still on the PayPals. Now let's go to Super Chats. So none your business for $4.99. Well, I'm not going to say the amount every time, but he says, right, because advocates of Sharia and communists get along so well. Right?
Yeah, no. They don't. Generally speaking, they don't.
Kind of like.
But all of our enemies have to be the same.
Mm-hmm. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, right?
G.I. Joe. Everybody I don't like is Cobra.
Peebo Thulu said, my first super chat to you, be gentle. Hope you Yanks are doing swell with your conservatives. That sounds sexual. Gentle. That sounds sexual.
We can't be gentle. We only know pain.
Be gentle. I hope your Yanks are doing swell. I hope
you forgot the most important part. It's my first time.
It's my first time. Be gentle. I've got a swollen yank. Does that count as gentle?
I guess it just depends on how you handle it.
Yeah. None your business again says I've already sent a super chat. It wasn't read. That was when I remembered that I had to explain the new format because I'm organized. I'm trying to be organized.
He's doing his best, everyone.
Cyrus isn't helping.
No, not really. I can't even see them.
Zamdes says, test, not quite bad, but had a college philosophy professor who enjoyed making us seem like idiots from the questions we asked. Yeah, college professors can be condescending pricks at times. Other times, there are... I had a class once that it was an elective course that I took because it sounded interesting, but it was super fucking boring. And the person who taught the class, we were computer programmers, and he was in the computer engineering section of the school. So like we didn't have any other classes with him. He never saw us for anything else. He didn't care about us. We didn't care about him. So it was a 3-hour class, first thing in the morning in a really hot room. So nobody was paying attention. Everybody was like sleeping or playing video games on their laptops or whatever. So when it came time to do the tests, it would be multiple choice. The whole test would be multiple choice. and then you could just bullshit your way through it, and then he'd give you a grade, and then we'd take up the test as a class, because in theory you're supposed to learn stuff as you correct the test. If you could explain to him, just give the most bullshit reason why you picked the answer that you did, it didn't have to make sense, it just as long as you could come up with something, his response would be like, yeah, I can see how you thought that. Everybody in the class gets an extra point. So the people that actually paid attention to that class came out with grades of 106%.
And learned nothing.
No, the people that learned nothing got 70 to 80%.
That's enough to pass and get a degree.
But it was a bullshit class. It was called Future Trends in Advanced Technology, and it sounds fascinating by the title, but it was actually a history of inventions, which could have been fascinating, but was not made fascinating. Okay, let's get through these super chats. I do have to go to bed.
Sleep is
None of your business again says 2 ADHD brains are greater than my 1 autistic brain.
No, that is not true.
It depends. There's a lot of variability that can...
It depends on the task we're trying to accomplish. It depends on which people have the brains. It depends on prior experience. Don't put yourself down like that.
And then Donald Boatger says, is this the magic tier? No, that one was not it. Peebo Thulu again says, the Vegemite debate. I present Amanda Palmer, the Vegemite song, as my defense, Your Honor. I'm not familiar with that song. I'm familiar with Vegemite's reputation, but I have never tried it.
Oh.
I imagine it's something like Spam.
No. It's... Imagine... what's the best way to put this? So, chili paste, right?
Kinda.
Okay. Take a really thick chili paste, but it's just vegetable protein and lots of salt. And if you can get a flavor out of that, then you know what? You're better than I.
So it's Spam, but with vegetables instead of ham.
And not solid. It's a spread.
Oh, okay. Oh! It's a spread. So you'd put it on toast instead of the Vegemite on toast.
That's why
I
started with chili paste. Spread it on things.
All right. None your business again. 4.99 says American history from that time just sounds so British. Vice 2022. Yep, I did say that. None your business again says I've known that I was into BDSM since I was 11 years old, and back then I thought that there was something very wrong with me. Child inappropriate things are things children are capable of understanding. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how old I was when the story I told earlier happened to me. I don't remember how old. I want to say it was around 11 or 12.
Yeah, it's hard for me to think of I know I was in elementary school, but what flavor of it I couldn't tell you.
My memory is not specific enough to figure out how old I was when certain things started occurring to me. None your business again says my life has been changed 4 times by 4 separate anime. There you go.
You watched Attack on Titan. Now you're into 4.
Elisa Nguyen, I think that's how you say that. I used to be really good at saying that last name when I worked in call centers.
And then you took an arrow to the knee.
Yeah. So the enemy of my enemy is another person who might try to slit my throat. That's the Game of Thrones school of the enemy of my enemy.
Yeah.
And then None Your Business says that was a self-deprecating joke, Cirrus. I assume that's the referring back to the autistic brain thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured it was, but at the same time, I would feel bad. It's okay for the person who is deprecating themselves to be self-deprecating, but then for 2 other people that have massive platforms to then pile on top of that, it's I appreciate the humor, and I would absolutely say the same thing about myself in that situation, but I do not feel comfortable continuing on with that thread when I'm not in that situation myself, if that makes sense.
Oh no, that's
It's
pretty much my position as well. Just like
it's well past
you,
my bedtime now, so I'm not the most articulate at the moment. You've kept me up late.
I'm sorry.
Godless Blessing says, "Wow, Rhino and Surus, thanks." That's the last super chat I'll read, so don't send any more. I mean, like, you can if you want, but it's not going to get read. Because I need to go to bed. That's not a challenge. Don't. Oh.
Well, I do want to say thank you for having me on.
You know, I wish we had this like more planned out, because there have been so many instances through this stream when I'm like, if I only had that one little sound bite queued up on my little soundboard thing, that would be appropriate there. So like you say that, I could have played like immediately Scar from The Lion King. Is that or no, Mufasa said it. Is that a challenge? But I don't have it because I didn't know that was going to come up.
Nope. Almost like this is all unscripted.
Spontaneity sucks sometimes.
Hey, Chip, let go of Slime Cirrus, you asshole.
Anyway, I'm going to hit the end credits button now. So thanks for joining me, Cirrus. If anyone wants to see more of you, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on a variety of channels. My main one is just called Cirrus. Cirrus the Skeptic. I talk about religion, atheism, politics, all kind. Basically, the stuff that Rhino brought me on for here is kind of what I do full time over there. I did just recently cover a video that was 100 questions for atheists. I had to do it in 2 parts. That was fun, kind of, sort of, not really. You can also find me talking about video games over on Necosaurus, and you can find me talking about specifically Sonic the Hedgehog. With game apologist Wayne is Boss and Channel Pup over on Sunset City.
Yeah, so I've got a link to your YouTube channel in my description. I imagine you have links to all that other stuff on your channel somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty. All right, thanks for joining me. It's been fun. And I have to figure out a catchphrase sign off at some point. Bye.
Insert end of video tagline here. Aha,
yeah.
we did it.